We'll now turn to member questions, and I recognize myself for 5 minutes for questions. Ms. Kimball, can you provide an update on market participants' readiness to comply with the SEC's clearing role? Should the SEC provide more clarity for firms before the deadlines go into effect, such as the scope of requirements for inter-affiliate transactions?
Thank you for the question, Mr. Chairman. At FICC, we have seen over the past several years a steady trend of Treasury market participants adopting central clearing on a voluntary basis due to the economic, operational, and risk mitigation benefits that it provides. To give context, before the SEC introduced its proposed rule to expand central clearing of U.S. Treasury activity in 2022, fixed daily volumes averaged around 4.5 trillion. And as I noted, we hit an all-time peak yesterday of 13.2 trillion of activity in a single day. But that being said, as Commissioner Mark Uyeda noted in his recent remarks on the progress towards implementation of Treasury clearing, there are certain issues that still need to be addressed, such as the scope and contours of the inter-affiliate exemption from the clearing requirement, amongst others. We look forward to the resolution of those open issues, as clarity on them will be key as market participants get down to the business of implementation and migrate the remaining Treasury balances covered by the mandate into central clearing over the course of 2026.
Continuing with you, how does central clearing reduce systematic risk in the Treasury market, and should our regulators recognize that risk-reducing benefits of central clearing through the implementation of cross-margining for end users and corresponding capital reductions?
Central clearing through a CCP like FICC offers Treasury market participants the opportunity to have their activity novated and net settled by a central counterparty, which creates various operational, balance sheet, capital, and risk reduction benefits for those firms and for the Treasury market as a whole. Extending our existing cross-margining arrangement with CME Group to end-user clients would help those end-user clients by having their offsetting futures cleared by CME and their cash and repo positions cleared at FICC recognized across the CCPs for margining purposes, which would increase margin efficiency for those end-user clients, making it more cost-effective for them to transact and smoothing their ability to migrate additional Treasury activity into central clearing. Implementing end-user cross-margining will also result in improved risk management through cross-CCP coordination in a default situation, and also increased transparency, including to the official sector. Making the corresponding capital reductions for those end-user clients' intermediaries is also critical to be able to give those intermediaries the capacity that they need to facilitate their clients' activity as part of the cross-margining program.
Ms. McLaughlin, I've seen reporting about the firm's reluctance to use the Fed's standing repo facility that's intended to serve as an additional source of liquidity in the Treasury market. What should the New York Fed be looking at to improve the effectiveness of the SRF?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I think that the SRF is generally working as intended to provide a ceiling on the level of the Fed funds rate. However, since it wasn't really needed when reserves were abundant, there is probably a little hesitation, and I've heard this from some market participants, on the part of some to be among the first to use it. I suspect the tool may be slightly stigmatized by the fact that it wasn't previously used regularly. So I think the most important thing that Fed policymakers can do is to communicate clearly and often that the SRF is intended to support rate control, that it's open for business, and that market participants should not hesitate to use it when it's economically advantageous to do so. Usage in that scenario supports interest rate control and therefore supports effective monetary policy implementation.
Mr. Tabaki, demand for our debt from rate-sensitive buyers has grown as a proportion of Treasury purchasers, and we saw resulting market volatility in April of this year. How would you characterize the health and functioning of the Treasury market in light of these trends?
Again, if you look at the U.S. Treasury market over the last 5 years, it's changed dramatically. Sovereign wealth funds aren't buying our paper. Can you hear me?
Is your microphone on?
Yes.
Thank you.
As I said, the market is changing dramatically. Sovereign wealth funds are not buying our paper. Treasury hedge funds are buying our paper. Treasury hedge funds need financing. financing is not an unlimited, and it is the main constriction to our U.S. Treasury market. And that's what's causing, now, I have to disagree a little bit with my esteemed colleague that I don't think that the standing repo facility is getting to where it needs to go. The Fed, when they call around to the primary dealers, they're all saying, yeah, there's no problem. There's plenty of liquidity. It's the non-primary dealers, the Treasury market participants, that need to have access to that facility.
Thank you.